let's put our hands together for a man who is doing a headlining set for the first time. He won last time. He's now a professional poet, and he's also a professional Ewan McGregor impersonator. Please put your hands together for the gorgeous Mark Bowen! Yup, 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 yup.
Thanks for that. Cool. You haven't had my Ewan McGregor impression. It's terrible.
You don't need to say anything.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mark.
Hello. Right.
Yeah.
Actually, I can't see you all. That's probably a good thing. Right. So, first of all, yes, 2 months ago I came here to the Pride Special Slam Dunk, and everyone was so welcoming and so lovely that I decided that perhaps you might like to hear what's in my head. So. I came here last time, and now I'm here, so you've really only got yourselves to blame, to be fair. If it all goes wrong, it's up to you. So let's start as we mean to go on. This one's about body positivity. Not every man beneath his clothes has got himself a willy, so to judge him based on that alone just seems a little silly. While some let it grow wild, others cultivate their garden. Some people like to toughen up and others like to harden. Some people are submissive and they give while others take. Some do it when they go to bed and others when they wake. And then there are asexuals, and that's just fine and dandy. Or polysexual multiples, or just you on your own, which comes in handy. Whether cis or trans or gender fluid, it really shouldn't matter. Your body is amazing, aging, changing, or getting fatter. As long as you respect yourself, make body pride your mission. And if you don't, and if you can, then instigate transition. Don't be persuaded by what others think or what they say. Be yourself, whoever that is. And if they don't like it, then fuck them. Okay, so if you're going to bare your soul and let all your insecurities bare, you can choose somebody that you know in a nice intimate setting so that you know that you're understood and supported. Or you could just do it in front of a big audience like this. Yay! So this one's called Somewhere Over the Spectrum. When I was younger and filled with hunger for patterns and precision, I'd sniff or blink compulsively as if it were a mission. And to try to just ignore it would become a total pain, a clutching at my very soul, a way of sending me insane. So I'd just do it. It was easier than being complicated by frustrations all throughout the day, but Dad, well, he would hate it. Telling me to always stop it even though I always wouldn't. And even if I wanted to, I knew I always couldn't. See, my private life was filled with strife and little weird compulsions, like liking repetition or just practicing emotions. So I trained myself to overcome the worst of these obsessions, though I hanker still for the secret thrill of labelling possessions. Social gatherings still scare me. In fact, they make me want to run. So tonight's performance is sponsored by adrenaline and rum. Cheers! Now, I might look and act quite confident, but it's mostly all just bluster. And to walk into a pub alone takes all the strength I muster. So I get my friends to meet outside. It really is a drag. And if it all gets too much inside, then I nip out for a fag. Do you ever have a moment when you feel an odd perplexion because you've turned too many times and faced the wrong direction, like a spring that's tightened up too much and needs to be released after walking up some flights of stairs? The feeling is increased, and you have to sort it out because your focus is on this and this alone, and there's no peace from the abyss or a release from needing all this just to cease. So you turn around the other way and hope that no one's staring because you look like a dog trying to catch its own tail. But by then you're way past caring and you're tired and frustrated and just want it all to end, which is all just hypothetical, of course. I'm just asking for a friend. Sometimes, when engaged in a book or wherever I get the uncontrollable need to read in an increasing number of words, from 1 to 10 then start again, which is weirdly satisfying but drives me mad because it takes forever to get through a chapter, especially when I'm tired and I keep losing count. Then it starts again, but not today. That's probably why I like a rhyme, a cadence with a pace that's fine and regular, like keeping time, the ticking from a clock. But sometimes I get a rebellious urge and just go for as long as I can, even though it feels wrong, like being at the top of a tall building and looking over the edge, and even though you really don't want to, wondering what it would be like to just jump. So nowadays, it only really starts again when I am tired, or drunk, or on those rare occasions when my rage is fired. And I'd like to think you'd never know the struggles I've endured, but I'm really good at spelling because I can visualise the words, all like patterns in a puzzle that unravel with an ease, so it balances frustrations with those qualities that please. While I pass myself as normal looking, blending in a crowd, unless of course I'd be so stupid as to mention it out loud. Bugger. Now, you'd think an all-boys school would be amazing if you're gay, but let me tell you here and now it doesn't work that way. Maybe in a boarding school all hockey sticks and ruggering, while future politicians practice bullying and buggering. But for those of us who suffered gender-separated classes, it's not the opportunity you'd think to see some action. Oh, temptation almost everywhere, it really was a tease. But with everyone in closets, no hope of seeing wood for all the trees. Because if I knew then what I knew now, I'd know which guys were hiding, and my sexual awakening would involve a lot less writing stories filled with comic heroes or poems filled with angst that quoted from philosophers like Socrates or Kant. Oh, don't get me wrong, I had a few adventures in my time, but they usually were fleeting, built up bigger in my mind. Like the time I shared an evening under canvas with a friend whose still resolve I tried to break, or maybe just to bend. Now, I won't discuss the details, but rest assured some fun was had, and I woke up in the morning feeling hopeful, bright and glad. But he said, I'd asked God for a test, and I hope that you were it. Really? Well, it's my patience that you're testing now, you sanctimonious tits. Then there's the classmates who like classmates, so their bottoms he could touch, but would never venture further, because of course that's far too much. Or the one whose lust would make him thrust against a certain tree, and to take a leaf from his book would mean pornographically. As the sixth form practiced dominating skills upon the younger, I sat meekly in the corner as my heart would burn with hunger for some tenderness, or making mess, or even just a kiss. But the boys I liked rode different bikes, and so it came to this. An act of desperation born from countless fruitless tries at trysts. So I stole a guy who had a girl to see if she'd be missed. Long story short, no she wasn't. Did anyone take part or see the wonderful Vertex Poetry project that was on last month? On National Poetry Day? Well done, that was awesome. They're probably still floating around town somewhere. But I kind of took part because it was a good challenge to write some bits and pieces. So these are slightly smaller ones. First of all, this is words for my younger self, so my little geeky teenager me. Look at you, you precious thing, with dreams flying high on gossamer wings. Don't let the trolls drag you down beneath the bridge where sorrows drown. Poke them in their hateful eyes and soar back up into the sky. You idolize a man of steel and superhero so unreal, but with head held high and flag unfurled, it's you could maybe change the world. Thank you. And another little one. One of the things about coming out, lots of different things, but one is that whole pressure of, oh no, you're not going to give me grandkids now. So I read a little thing a few weeks ago. Somebody pointed out that every single one of you is the culmination of millennia of people creating that genetic fluid down to just you. So, thousands of generations all to create you. Genetically dividing, families entwining, history presiding, a DNA and drama soup. But if you can't or won't continue that line, then it ends with you, and that's just fine. There are billions already pushing the planet to a point of fragility. Your life is your own, and sometimes that's enough responsibility. Thank you. Before I do a slightly longer one, here's some more kind of adulty things I think about sometimes. So, if you were feeling all alone and could make yourself a clone to engage in various sensations, would it be sex or masturbation? And if I'm walking down the street and someone shouts you fucking fruit, do they know I like bananas, or was it rhetorically moot? And if some soldiers went to a naturist camp and encountered their general also without pants, would any of them be at ease or would it not be mentioned? And would it be protocol or biology if the private stood to attention? It is really hot up here, I have to say. Okay, so this one I had the misfortune a couple of weeks ago, somewhere I'd only ever passed through, and I'm pretty sure you all know or come from places that are dire. So this is my little ode to all them places. It's called I Don't Know What It Is About Dartford. You might not be cheering by the I don't know what it is about Dartford. Maybe it's the group of teenage lads breathing from balloons and scattering discarded cartridges across the floor of the park toilets, turning wet floors even more treacherous, then urinating in the street in a mixed up sense of what should go where. Maybe it's parking outside Sainsbury's and looking to see if the CCTV will be watching over your car, even though you're sure it'll only catch any damage as an afterthought. Maybe it's the odd mixture of identity that gives it all and nothing. Kent enough to have parks with potential, but London enough to have them choked by concrete neighbours. Promise trampled underfoot beneath a crushed up carpet of cigarette butts and empty cans of Stella. A twilight non-place where street conveniences are single user and automatic and sexual partners are anything but. Maybe the only significant feature is the over and under of 2 tunnels and a bridge, puncturing the subdermal bed of the Thames with a relentless jammed up strung out stream of frustration. While red blades stab the grey sky overhead, scattering clockwise commuters over dismal landscapes of industrial decline, French coffers filling as the money flows freely while the traffic slows to a trickle. Maybe it's too estuary for its own good, the same heritage that takes Essex's endemic East End attitude and marries it to the riled up core of Chatham's finest, breeding like backwards cousins, spawning a town whose appearance approves only in the dark, even as the streets become more dangerous still. I don't know what it is about Dartford, but maybe I don't ever want to go there again. Okay, this is a silly little one about getting off your face. I was bored of getting high and I thought that I would try to spread my wings and touch the sky with a little LSD. So I made a couple calls, hung some rugs upon the walls, cleared the rubbish from the halls in case it caused a nasty trip. Some advice that's rather sweet is when you're handling a sheet, you need to be quite swift and neat or else it soaks into your skin. And you end up having more than the amount you bargained for, and when doors become the floor, then it's really just the start of an experience that's odd, like conversations with your God, or maybe just a talking cod. The difference really isn't clear. As colours pour from out your head and you find yourself led to listen to some Grateful Dead, or just the dripping of a tap. Your entire body's heavy and you're gasping for a bevy, but you know you'll pay the levy of your insides coming up. Turn around and you will see the walls of water falling free, which makes you really need a wee, so you stumble to the loo. Now, guys, don't look down while you are peeing, because the sight that you'll be seeing sends all sanity a-fleeing when your parts are doing that. But it's strangely fascinating and your body is pulsating, so you try some other things, but that really doesn't work. Back to sofa you must go, over fields of silver snow lit with phosphorescent glow, or maybe just the carpet. You end up lying on a blanket and you really want to thank it as the visions start to crank it up a notch and start again. So then body is distracted and your mind becomes attracted to a journey interactive where the universe is one. Eventually you wane and the room is back again, even though you think your brain has had a little acid wash. So to Hoffman, McKenna and Leary, and all those psychonauts so cheery. I'm afraid it's left me weary, so I won't do it again. But what's that? Some psilocybin? Where the hell has that been hiding? And I guess that I'm deciding that to decline would be rather rude. So one more, and I've saved the big one for last. So this is essentially a little story about how I went from kid to angsty teenager to this, with the influence of music. So, this is a story all about how my life got flipped turned upside down by music and its influence upon my education as I threw my safety overboard and joined an insect nation.
3.
Yay! 10 points for guessing all the songs as well. When the tunes were fun and filled with beats that thumped from discos in the streets, as kids we played out late and free to shake pineapple, grind coffee. But as I grew into my teens and learned of life and love, it seemed that music played a bigger part of relevance within my heart. As rhythms pounded, thoughts confounded by the way that lyrics sounded perfect for that time or place, for setting scenes or giving space to vocalize the feelings that were deep within my soul, with just a little innuendo to keep me in the throes of dreams all wet and inexperienced, and yet want you to push it, babe, calling by name, then at night working up a sweat. That's a bit more obscure. Now, putting finger on the flavour of my taste ain't always easy, because sometimes I like it hard, and sometimes I like it cheesy. Sure, I like a bit of Take That when I want to feel alive, but the focus of my boy band bliss was the quintet known as Five. So I want to take a little time to refresh your mind, because the boys are back in town with a different kind of funk, and it was usually me on my own left singing at that point. So I'd slink off to a corner and I'd roll myself a joint, which put me in the mood for what they used to call shoegazing, or grunge as it was widely known, with bands that were amazing in their introspective brilliance, while speaking to the heart of a Generation X or Y, of which I was a part. So load up on guns and bring your friends, it's fun to lose and to pretend. A modicum of normality or shiny happy reality when all I want to do is crawl inside my skin and cry. Head like a hole, black as your soul, I'd rather die than keep no control. Oh, the days that I'd miss lectures while I wallowed in my pity, scratching flesh and tearing sanity and feeling pretty shitty. Blacker days and slacker ways in a dangerously duplicitous city that feeds neon dreams and drunken screams to pumped up, pimped out beats, while big issues and the destitute all curdle in the streets. Then I read a little book called The Celestine Prophecy. With its fabulous fables of far-flung philosophies, it spoke to me, awoke me to a life that could be stronger, where humanity could rise within and last a little longer than the shadows of my solitude, as they crumbled in the light of serving others, gaining purpose, using might to fight for right. So I marched with pride upon my feet, then sat down and reclaimed the streets. I was angry at injustice and I wanted to resolve it. As for governmental greed and power, I wanted to dissolve it. I got blood on my face, a big disgrace, waving my banner all over the place. That passion still burns deep within, though with a cooler light, as the torch gets passed to younger ones whose energy burns bright. And if the guidance is to be the change you wish to see in the world, then I think that I am more peaceful now. My mind less frantic, swirled with mixed emotions, and a soul that used to cry in pain now smiles. At all the people with robotic faith that forced them into aisles of buildings hewn from golden rock to shake and shock the broken flock, with promise of eternal life through pledged allegiance or through strife and suffering. When just look around at glorious life springing from the ground as trees and plants and flowers bloom to chase away the doom and gloom. I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony. I'd like to hold it in my arms and keep it company. The shaman of antiquity all seem to have it sorted, prestigious and indigenous and never being thwarted by the need to buy or to consume beyond their means or to presume a guilt or even innocence, or causes of the dissonance within, instead just having certainty that we're heading for a future where humanity is free. And the shaman of more recent times spoke words that others should, but it's probable that you remember only "ease a good, ease a good, ease Evan, ease a good." Despite the connotations of their lyrical persuasions, the evolution of their message would shine through on each occasion, with a message of salvation for a universal nation. Banging their boss drum, motivating rhythm of life with a cultural revival. This is survival. Natural magical patterns of percussion is the discussion, so listen up close. Let it connect you to the powers that be with a healing rhythmic synergy. Techno-tribal and positively primal, shamanic, anarchistic, archaic revival. Now you see how much I've come to cherish music in my life, and when I perish, then I hope that when my friends all gather round with family around a tree and scatter me upon the ground, the lyrics of my favourite song will lift their hearts with cheer, as my hippy-dippy sentiment will be completely clear. Because you may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And I hope someday you'll join us and the world will be as one.